state does not allow for abortion at will. For abortion, एक medicine use किया जाता है, misoprostol. India has more than 15 million abortions every year. Let's start off then, okay? So, कल का news जो है is an example of a news where those finer details of the articles is ज़्यादा important है what has been happening around on women issues, women health, abortion issue क्या है world में, and abortion issue एक ऐसा है, it is considered a very convenient tool to persist with the patriarchy. Abortion laws जितने भी हैं, abortion issues जितने भी हैं, कहीं ना कहीं they are reflective of patriarchal mindset. और ये सिर्फ इंडिया में नहीं है, across the world. एग्जाम्पल बताया मैंने, यूरोप में अभी भी इशू है, आयरलैंड में that lady died, यूएस में the US state, the Supreme Court of US has now said it is the discretion of the states to enact their own laws. It's almost like a reversal of the progressive stand they had on abortion. The abortion issues, gay rights, ये सब बहुत ही tricky issues हैं. And you find the society now and then always challenged about how progressive they are based on these issues. ठीक है, तो वो context था. अच्छा, तो Supreme Court ने क्या किया? Okay, I'll just give you the crux here. What Supreme Court has done is, in one sentence, it has ruled that all women in the nation, regardless of their marital status, all women in the nation, regardless of their marital status, can receive safe and legal abortion services up to 24 weeks into pregnancy. So ये है पूरा judgment का summary. Again, I said that this is a ruling which is challenging the 1971 MTP Act and its amendment of 2021. Okay, अभी तक क्या था? Write down. Till this ruling, the law and its amendment differentiated. The law and its amendment differentiated on the basis of marriage status. It differentiated the rights of women for abortion on the basis of their status of marriage. अब बताते हैं कि वो marriage हो नहीं हो does not matter. All women have equal right in terms of accessing safe and legal abortion services up to 24 weeks into pregnancy. Achha, now, to build a context on this, pregnancy issues and abortion have been a major concern because of high rates of maternal mortalities. Number two, in case of pregnancy outside marriage, girls and women were left with no choice but to opt for unsafe, illegal ways for abortion. Girls were left no choice but to opt for unsafe and illegal abortion because for unmarried women, laws alag tha. And this also puts the spotlight on the shortage of trained medical practitioners and gynecologists in rural India. But abhi bhi yaad rahe, very important. Even now, the state does not allow for abortion at will. ये important point है. मतलब ये है कि abortion करें ठीक है, but there must be some substantial ground, such as health issues, एक ground है. Okay, such as change of status, एक ground है. Okay. ठीक है, so it is not that anybody can have access to abortion. So abhi bhi, the state does not legalize abortion at will. So maybe that could be the next stage. But abhi kam se kam wo jo discrimination tha, that has been removed. Okay. So ye ho gaya crux of the discussion. Next slide down. With the ruling, right to pregnancy and abortion is now addressed under right to pregnancy and abortion is now addressed under Article 21 which is about a right to reproductive rights. And it has also come under Article 14, which is the right to equality. जो Article 21 है Constitution का, it's called as right to life. So, right to reproductive rights जो है, it comes under right to life, Article 21. और ये जो हटा दिया है, married women, unmarried women हटा दिया है, distinction, it comes under right to equality, Article 14 के अंदर आता है. उसके बाद very important, that reproductive rights का scope बढ़ा दिया है. The right called as reproductive rights, the scope has now expanded. Okay, so reproductive rights is not only about right to have children or not. ये सिर्फ उतना नहीं रहा. The reproductive rights are no longer about right to have children or not, but it includes, quote unquote karo, it includes a constellation of rights, such as access to education and information about contraception, sexual health, along with the right to choose safe and legal abortion. और एक बहुत important point है, with this ruling, there is an acceptance of marital rape as a condition to decide legality of abortion. So, but remember this, अभी भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने या लॉज ने मैरिटल रेप को एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया है इन टर्म्स ऑफ सम लीगल प्रोविजन. अभी भी डिबेट चलते रहते हैं. नो रूलिंग, देयर इज नो लॉ अबाउट हाउ टू प्रोटेक्ट विमेन फ्रॉम मैरिटल रेप. ओके, बट विद दिस रूलिंग सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है कि हाँ ये एक प्रॉब्लम है. हालांकि इट्स डिफिकल्ट टू आइडेंटिफाई, इट्स डिफिकल्ट टू प्रोबेबली पेनलाइज और व्हाटएवर, बट दिस इज अ वैलिड कंडीशन कि there are pregnancies which are unwanted even in conditions of marriage, even in the institution of marriage. इसका next step शायद होगा, we'll have some ruling that criminalizes marital rape also. So अभी एक type का tacit acceptance है, ये problem है, and the person can avail safe and legal abortion services, okay, because it's unwanted, even though it is within the institution of marriage. ये 4-5 बड़ा important landmark decisions हो गया है. Okay, now just for sake of history, just know that एक बताया था मैंने कि write down, until the 1960s, all abortion was considered illegal under section 312 of IPC, Indian Penal Code. But फिर एक कमिटी बनी थी called as शांतिलाल शाह कमिटी. ये mid 1960s में बना था, शांतिलाल शाह कमिटी. Okay, जिसके रिकमेंडेशन के बेसिस पे we have the 1971 MTP Act, 71 MTP Act, which has undergone some amendments. Last amendment 21 में था, and the Supreme Court ruling kind of overruled some aspects of the amendment. Okay, now a question polity से है. Okay, some of you can think on this, या फिर आप जान लीजिए. अब देखो, I hope you know what do we mean by any act. Act क्या होता है? It's basically some kind of a law that is passed by the parliament. Some kind of a law that is passed by the parliament. Okay, act बन गया. So act has a force of law. ठीक है, तो आपके पास ऑलरेडी एक MTP एक्ट था 1971 का, प्लस व्हाटएवर अमेंडमेंट्स वी हैड. अब क्या हुआ है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का रूलिंग आ गया. सुप्रीम कोर्ट रूलिंग सेज समथिंग अबाउट यू कांट डिफरेंशिएट एंड सो ऑन. अब क्वेश्चन ये बनता है कि गिवन दिस रूलिंग, व्हाट हैपेंस टू दिस? द रूलिंग सेज से ABC. अब क्या होगा? क्या ABC अपने आप एक्ट का पार्ट बन गया, या ABC will stand aside and will be extensions of the act? Will the act now become dysfunctional? Okay, so when a Supreme Court ruling happens, what happens to the act itself? And is the government of India, is it an obligation now कि उसको एक्ट अमेंड करना पड़ेगा. Now this is a political question. What happens to the status of the act and Supreme Court का जो ruling है, is this as good as a law or not? If yes, why? If no, why? So what happens to the next course of action? Any inputs? कुछ idea है आप लोग को? The final interpreter. तो मतलब इस law को क्या होगा? Okay, is it obligatory on the government to amend it? It will amend. तो आपने एक opinion दे दिया. I'm asking you, is it obligatory कि पार्लियामेंट को अमेंड करना ही पड़ेगा? और अगर ये लॉ अपने आप में है, ओके, तो why do we need to amend? हम इसको डायरेक्टली इसके अंदर ले लेते हैं. That's it. I hope you got the conversation, discussion here. कि what happens to this? Okay, so I'm not a polity expert. Okay, I have asked some people on this, but मैं चाहूंगा कि आप ये सवाल पक्का आप टीचर से पूछें और आप खुद भी इसको फाइंड आउट करें. I will share what I know from the conversations I have. ठीक है? अच्छा, now a very important इंडिया में source of law क्या है? What are the sources of law? Say you are working as a SDM, you work as a DM, you are an executive, तो आप लॉ को अप्लाई करोगे. जब लॉ को अप्लाई कर रहे हो, source of law क्या है? What all can you say as a basis of what you are doing? Okay? So constitution is one source of law. उसका law हो ना हो does not matter. A constitution में है, you can enforce something there. So that is one. Number two, एक तो आपका जो भी act है, वो भी तो law ही है ना ultimately. Act is basically an act of the parliament. That is the law. ये भी आपका source है. Okay. Third is any ruling of High Court and Supreme Court. High Court and Supreme Court का laws जो हैं, they are in effect, or rulings जो हैं, they are in effect the law itself. Okay. And fourth is what we call as customary law. जो आप culture की बात कर रहे हैं, so learn to use the exact words, okay? So our customs are also part of the source of law. What are the sources of the administrative law? What are the sources of, so law when we are enforcing some legal aspects? So customary laws भी source of law है. High Court, Supreme Court के judgments भी source of law है. Act तो अपने आप में law है. And plus, we also have constitutions. ठीक है? So what this does is, because you already have a Supreme Court ka ruling, the Supreme Court ka ruling is in effect, it is as good as the law itself. Is as good as the law itself. Okay. Now, ये जो आपका पहला act था, okay, 1971 Act, the government or the parliament has no obligation to definitely amend it. इसको ऐसे छोड़ भी सकता है. But as a part of propriety, as a part of decency, we call this as parliamentary decency, or we call this as the legal decency. कि the Supreme Court के law को act का part बना दिया जाता है. But there's no 100% obligation नहीं है. The ruling can remain like this, okay, and the act can also remain. And enforcement में बोलेंगे because Supreme Court has said this, so maybe these provisions of the law are now not applicable. But the government has no 100% obligation कि पक्का amend करना है. But generally, as a part of the decency of parliamentary functioning, these laws do get amended. That's one. Number two, now this ruling is a very specific ruling on a very specific issue. हर law का ना set of rules होता है. There are some rules, do's and don'ts, and some details होता है. तो Supreme Court ने नहीं दिया है. So when amendment is done, what is done is the rulings are better elaborated. The rules are better established, and the details are spelled out in amendments. The details are spelled out in the amendments. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो कह दिया. तो मैं किसी बात कर रहा था, योर ओन पॉलिटी टीचर जो पढ़ाएंगे आपको इवेंचुअली, I was asking him कि सर इसका क्या होगा इसका. He said बड़ा आसान है कि सोचो कि एक जगह में रास्ता नहीं है, तो कोई आकर कोई नदी या कोई स्ट्रीम के ऊपर में एक छोटा सा पुल बना देता है. But ultimately you must make a proper road. You must ultimately have a proper construction. So Supreme Court ने क्या किया है, बेसिकली छोटा सा पुल बना दिया है. The Supreme Court has made a small passage, but the detail जो है, रोड बनाना है, कंस्ट्रक्शन करना है, सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशंस लगाना है, वो तो करना ही पड़ेगा बाद में. So see the Supreme Court का ruling more as a foot in the door. Okay, see it as a way how it has intervened and forced the government to rethink. And based on that, now the government can have a proper amendment that is elaborative of the process, a proper set of rules which are established, plus details जो होंगे. So maybe ये बता रहा है only for specific case, ये पूरा detail कर देंगे. So committee बैठेगी, they'll think on what can be done and make the law ultimately more and more progressive. तो ये आपका polity वाला link था that I think you should know. ठीक है? Okay, now see current affairs में यही important हो जाता है. It's not the news itself, it is okay, what are the issues linked to it? ठीक है? Now 2-3 more things. You should know something about what is National Family Health Survey, because abortion issues, pregnancy issues, MMR, IMR, okay, they are part of National Family and Health Survey, NFHS बोलते हैं. It is conducted by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Ministry of Health, कैसे लिखा जाता है? Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. This ministry does this survey. Okay. But very importantly, ये खुद नहीं करती है. It has kind of outsourced the work. Okay. Outsourced the work to लिखो, to International Institute for Population and Sciences. Okay. The ministry has designated the work. It has outsourced the work to International Institute for Population and Sciences, Mumbai, as the nodal agency. And IIPS क्या करती है? IIPS collaborates with many field organizations. It collaborates with many field organizations, including NGOs and donor agencies. You can consider this to be some kind of private, public partnership. ठीक है? अच्छा, इसकी फंडिंग कौन करता है? Who funds the survey? Who supports the survey? Technically कौन करता है? Not just the government. इसमें फंडिंग जो है UN की फंडिंग है, प्राइवेट फंडिंग भी है. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation also funds this. Okay, we have an organization called as US AIDS, AIDS. लिखो. Who are the organizations who fund the survey, who support the survey? US AIDS, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, UNICEF, okay, UNFPA, and of course the government of India. ये सबसे पहली बार हुआ था 1992-93 में. What is this NFHS survey? It is a large-scale, multi-round survey conducted in representative samples. देखो, एक हमारा सेंसस ऑफ इंडिया है. जो सेंसस है वो हेड टू हेड काउंट करता है. एवरी फैमिली, एवरी हाउस होल्ड घुस के पूछता है. इट्स मोर डिटेल्ड. ये सर्वे जो है इसको बोलते हैं सैंपल सर्वे. मतलब सबको नहीं पूछेंगे. They go to an area and pick up a sample of 10 people, sample of 50, and ask them what is happening, or do some research on them. So it is not a head-to-head survey. It is a sample survey, but it is fairly decent in terms of accuracy. हालांकि कुछ instances हैं where the findings was not matching with the census ultimately. Okay, so it is a sample survey, important है. अच्छा, इसका goals क्या है? Main goal यही है to have data around health achievements and health issues in India. Data around health achievements and health issues in India. Okay, for better policy planning and programs. Right now we are having Nfhs 5, the latest है. Nfhs 5. Now Nfhs 5 में we have expanded the scope. We have got new focal areas. लिख लो क्या क्या focal areas नया क्या add किया है UN Nfhs 5 में. One is we have expanded the domain of child immunization. Expanded the domain of child immunization. One. Number two, survey of micronutrient deficiency in children. Number three, menstrual hygiene. Menstrual hygiene. ये सारे questions बनते हैं ABCD वाले. Number four is alcohol and tobacco abuse. Next is additional components of non-communicable diseases. And we have extended the age range for measuring hypertension and diabetes for all aged 15 and above. A small idea about what is survey का क्या है. अच्छा, इसके अलावा there is one more fact. Now, linked to science and technology, there is a hormone called as, अभी facts हैं, hormone called as prostaglandin, Prostaglandin, prostaglandin. ये hormone क्या है? It is produced by a variety of uteroplacental tissues. Uteroplacental tissues during pregnancy. Just know this hormone's name. ये articles में होगा. Now, for MTP, for abortion, एक medicine use किया जाता है. Know that also. It's called as misoprostol. 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 It is a synthetic prostaglandin. It's artificial produced है ये. It is a synthetic prostaglandin for medical abortion. Okay, it induces contraction and evacuation from the uterus. इसके अलावा, this medicine is also used for some other things. देखो आप, it's used for treating stomach ulcers, preventing post-birth bleeding. Post-birth को postpartum भी बोलते हैं. PARTUM. Post-birth or postpartum bleeding. Okay, it is used to address birth defects and of course induce abortion. अच्छा, ये इसलिए न्यूज में है because this is one of the most used medicine for abortion, खासकर in unsafe abortions. इसके side effects बहुत हैं. So without the proper laws in place, okay, use of misoprostol, okay, is harmful for the mothers. So point is, misoprostol is a type of a synthetic prostaglandin. Okay, it's like a hormone that mimics the body functions. Okay, it's used किया जाता है not just for abortion, for other reasons also. So अब हमने क्या किया है? I took up the issue called as Supreme Court ruling, and we discussed 4 or 5 things around it. You know the survey's name, from the discussions of polity, the status of the law. We understand the science technology around it, plus something around the constitution, किस article में, 2114, and whatever are the issues. And as a part of some facts, just know this, data लिख लो आप, ये काम आएगा आपको, that India has as many as more than 15 million abortions every year, 70% of which are unsafe and is a reason for high MMR. Next is lack of options for safe abortion, risks psychological health and mental health, psychological health and mental health of young girls and women. जैसे एक बहुत कॉमन प्रॉब्लम है गर्ल्स में is depression, which unfortunately it is least acknowledged and almost untreated. Okay, and depression is not something like disease. It's a mental state. Frustration से होता है, somewhere lack of acknowledgement से होता है, lack of self dignity से होता है. So depressions का बहुत बड़ा reason है pregnancy issues. Okay, pregnancy issues and that feeling that you do not have control over your own body. So जहां पर इतने बातें हो रही हैं आज के डेट में, where mental health is also a very important component of what we call as well-being. Okay, तो वहां पर ये important बन जाता है. It's not only about the body and the health, physical health, ये mental health से भी related है. And the developing countries में, खासकर rural population में, depression is one of the least acknowledged of the ailments and problems that we have. ठीक है? So you have some content for essays also, और वैसे GS का तो पार्ट है ही.